Welcome in everyone to the morning session of the driver private testing here, and the first session at Istanbul here in Turkey, a track that spans over 2 continents, a classic Formula 1 track, and of course it's back on the calendar in 2027 in real life, so it's only fitting that it comes back here in game, but it won't be on the calendar this year. It is just purely for testing right now, and this time we've got a range of cars, 3 Koenigsegg's, a record for the most cars, more than 2 cars, first time we've had that, of the same team competing in the same session, so that is a little record that Koenigsegg can hold, as it looks like Silla is making his way out onto the track for the first time in 2032 this season, which is pretty surprising. He was your world champion of 2030, so he'll be looking for a bit of redemption this season after a bit of a lackluster season back in 2031. Brawn GP cars both out here, Sorry and I Am Turbo out on track in this test session. Ahmed Silla moving through the last part of his lap, making his way into sector 3 as he makes his way onto the straight now, deploying the battery and the boost, opening the active aero onto the straight here as he makes his way down into the final 3 corners in this test session. For his first lap here, of course, will be P1 to start, but it's more about collecting data, but not a bit like the tyre test where they were just putting in laps. They will be trying to set fast laps, trying to set laps that they would be normally setting during the race pace to measure some of that, what their tyres can do if they didn't take part in the tyre test a week ago. As here comes Turbo up to the line in the Brawn GP car. Where can he put that Brawn? He goes P1 by 0.5 of a second over to that Koenigsegg, and Akil Takif in the Bugatti, the only Bugatti car out on track today. He's got no teammate, the only car with no teammate today, so he'll be looking to set more laps. And here comes Monkey on Cloud. Up to the line he goes, and he will take it up to P2 so far in this test session. 11 minutes left here in Istanbul as Cornwell out on track. He has repeatedly said that he wants to win a world championship this season. He thinks that this is his time. Sorry in the Brawn came ever close last season, but just fell short with a few races to go. And as for Maxa, he practically fumbled the F2 championship last season, but he's still racing for dams over in Formula 2, and he'll be hoping that 2032 could be the season for him and for Koenigsegg as a whole, as they've got all 3 drivers out here on the test. As Sorry crosses the line up to P2 he goes. Brilliant lap time from him so far. Cornwell moving through the last part of his lap. You got to get the braking right into the last 3 corners there. Have to take all the curb you can for the first one, and then try and dodge the second one a bit and fling it into the last corner. As he rounds that final corner, active aero deployed, up to the line he goes, and it will be P4 so far. He's the highest of the Koenigsegg so far, but Maxa could topple the time of the Brits, his fellow Brits, as he moves up to the line. There he goes, O'Donoghue right behind him. O'Donoghue goes fastest so far, and Maxa is down in P7, the slowest of all the Koenigseggs, which is respectable. Akil Takif, 8 minutes left, out on another lap and looking to set more fast times here. Silla into the pits, collecting the data there, and the Bugatti trying to get out of that last spot there. It's going to be a slow start, it seems, for them in 2032, of course. A new team on the grid, replacing Audi after they've had their highs and lows in Formula 1, but weren't able to win a championship, of course, as Cornwell up to the line to start, I think, another lap here as he makes his way through turns 1 and 2 and into the heavy braking zone, semi-heavy braking zone of turn 3. He's got to fling it around, take the outside line there and fling it through the next right-hander there as he makes his way through the rest of sector 1 and into sector 2 where he starts. And Takif, his final lap in this testing session, 8th place, 3 seconds off the pace. It's not what they're hoping for, but of course it's just a test. They've got time to improve before the actual pre-season testing at the decided track, and of course there'll be a little practice start in a few hours for this session as Ahmed Silla moving through the final few corners now as well in sector 2 as he makes his way into the final sector over at sector 3, and so does Maxa, all of them on a lap. Cornwell has completed his session, but 2 of the Koenigsegg still remain in this session so far with 0 seconds left on the clock. Maxa catching up to, I think, a Williams that is about to be not lapped, but overtaken due to a slow car on his in-lap. Maxa up to the line he goes, and he actually takes it up to P5 with respectable lap time, the fastest of all 3 Koenigseggs, the F2 drivers so far. So that is actually pretty impressive stuff so far, and that is the end of our test session. Well, surprisingly, it's actually rained again in a few hours here, so we'll get another glimpse of what these super intermediate tyres can do, a mix of the wet and the inters. I said last week as well, they are both combined into one, so we should get better racing in wets, and we won't have the uselessness of those wet tyres here in Istanbul for about 5 or 6 laps, maybe a maximum of 7 or something. So let's get underway for the second time in 2032, and it's a great getaway from the Williams, automatically cutting off the car in second place, and he's got the move done into turn 1, and it's going to be the 2 Braun GP cars lying over there in P2 and 3, as Cornwell has lost a load of positions off the start. He was originally faster than Armacilla in that test session, but now Takif is looking to maybe make a move on him in the next few corners there as Silla. And there's a bunch of cars there. Sorry, trying to make the move on O'Donoghue very early, but it's going to be O'Donoghue who maintains his position up at the front of the grid. And in behind is going to be the 2 Koenigseggs, Cornwell and Silla, fighting there, and Ahmed Silla making his way through. Up he goes back into P6, and Monkey on Cloud looking for the overtake, but he started super clipping on the straight, and that leaves Iron Turbo to make his way back through. Maxa now onto the straight, gaining in the slipstream of the Williams, looking to make a pass on the Braun GP car of Iron Turbo onto the straight, as there goes Monkey on Cloud, and here comes Maxa into the final few corners they go, and it's going to be a good move from Maxa. Up he goes into P4 and solidifying the move, or at least trying to, as there goes Iron Turbo coming back through that final few corners, onto the straight they go. Monkey on Cloud having to cede the position to Sari up ahead, and he maintains his position up at the front. Here comes Cornwell looking for the overtake on Sari, going for a bit of a switchback into this first corner, another switchback into the second, and a third switchback into the final corner, and getting the right exit and making his way side by side up close to his teammate for the last couple of seasons it's been. And Silla maintains P6 from the Brit there in the number 96, but he's also going to have a look at the Williams up ahead, but he's a bit too far back to think about making any substantial moves up the grid so far, as Sari is looking to chase down that Williams up at the front, along with Iron Turbo, his teammate, still sat over in second and third, but the Williams is looking quite strong. Speaking of the Williams, here comes Ahmed Silla. He's going to take it round the outside of Monkey on Cloud there at the first few out of turn 8 there they go, and Maxa now onto the straight looking to re-overtake Ahmed Silla, late braking on the outside, and a beautiful exit from the Brit there in the F2 car. A beautiful move there from Maxa as he now chases down Iron Turbo up ahead. Akil Takif still in 8th. And just a few laps later now, it's going to be a battle for first, which we didn't see during the tyre test, but now it's going to be Sari making the overtake on Patrick O'Donoghue. Of course, he was racing for Ferrari last season, and the season before that he was in Formula 2, and now he's really evolving as a driver, and he is kind of at home now at Williams, but down to P2. Well, here comes Iron Turbo, also making the move on O'Donoghue, maybe losing pace and using his tyres a bit too much at the start of the Grand Prix. Monkey on Cloud making the overtake on Maxa, and O'Donoghue is down to P3, but that is going to be the end of our test session. A few laps here, 5 laps to be exact, and overall good pace from Braun and Williams, so they are going to be looking maybe the teams to beat, but of course we haven't seen what the other teams like Porsche, Mercedes in their test later today at Austria.